Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. Before we begin today, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for listening to me and all of our guests. It has been over 2 years. I completely missed our 2-year anniversary, which was April 8th. So it's been 2 years and I wanted to just give you guys a shout out and say thank you so much. That's more than 100 episodes and I'm so excited to continue this journey with you. However, it is really hard coming up with topics each week. I'm just going to be very serious and finding speakers. So if you have a topic that you're really interested in or anyone that you really would love to hear from, whether it's an author, an expert, a mom, a dad, a teacher, a therapist, a surgeon, please send them my way. And I really would like to start bringing in a few more of those woo-woo topics. I've missed them. I've missed those kind of very out there spiritual conversations. So if you have anyone that you work with for a healer or a psychic or a medium or a medical intuitive, I would love to hear from you. Just send me an email at jen@forourspecialkids.com and I will follow up. Okay, on to the show. I sent an email to Kaydee DeJarlis a week ago or so asking for some help. I wanted some guidance on a few behavior issues that we were having with Teal at school. And I really wanted to know how human design could provide guidance for a conversation that I was going to have with Teal's teachers that afternoon. So literally right after I had the recording. So Kaydee came back to me with this huge email and a lot of information, and I just asked if she would come on and talk about it with everyone. So just to back up a bit, on September 4th, 2022, Kaydee joined us and she introduced human design. And today, she's here to provide a lot of details as to how the body graph from human design can give us insight, not necessarily answers, but insight on how to handle strong emotions like frustration or how to speak with our children in a way that meets their needs. It's really about meeting a child where they are and meeting them at who they are. So Kaydee gives us a ton of examples. She gives them a lot of examples for Teal, but I'm really hoping you can pull some nuggets of information about yourself and your child that will help you moving forward. So if you do want to look up your chart before listening to this episode, hit pause. It might be kind of fun. You can go to geneticmatrix.com or mybodygraph.com, and you can find out all sorts of information. I mean, you can determine if you're a manifester, if you're a generator, if you're a manifesting generator, if you're a projector or a reflector. It's like even just that might help you as you listen. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and please let me know what you think. Kaydee, thank you so much for joining me. And just to set the stage, I reached out to you recently about Teal. We have been having some issues with Teal at school. And I put issues in quotes because, I mean, every child has something going on at school, at least from my experience. But she started showing a little bit more frustration and swatting, and she kind of pushed at some kids that were in her space and took something that she had. And so I think what she was really trying to do is set boundaries, but as a 7-year-old with, verbal-ish skills and some sort of spasticity, all of that really creates a lot of challenge. And so the school and Alex and I are going to be meeting today, actually after this recording, which is so funny. But I reached out to you because I thought, all right, the last time we spoke, you were so good at helping me understand how human design can really influence behavior, and then thus how knowing what my own human design can do, it actually can then influence and enhance her even more. Okay, that was a very bad way of explaining it, but people can go back and listen to that first episode. I'll put it in the show notes. But I reached out because I just wanted guidance on how you see human design engaging and interacting with discipline. And I know discipline is a really tricky word, as people don't like it. I don't like it either. But at the same time, that's what we're going to be talking about at school. So that's a very long-winded about why I reached out. So define human design as best you can, just so people have a quick reference.
In a basic way. It's a huge thing, but it's really amazing. It's a wonderful tool, but it's a mix of all the really old sciences and kind of the more modern day sciences together. And it gives you this amazing chart called a body graph. And it's like a cheat sheet of, it's not even a cheat sheet, it's just like the answers to how you are actually supposed to be in this world. And for everything like discipline problems or struggles in life, career, family, relationships, anything like that, it can be pointed out through your chart. It's not going to tell you answers. It's not going to say, this is what you need to do to get this to happen. What it does is it gives you these details and information about how you are meant to be with your energy, your the way you process, the way you make decisions in life, your feelings, emotions, your instincts, your intuition, all of that kind of stuff, your energy. And it shows you how it actually works in you because we are all unique and we're all kind of taught that we're all supposed to do things the same way. And it just doesn't work for us. So, human design takes all those old and new sciences and gives you this way to actually see the true you. And then you can decide if it's what you believe or it's for you and if you're ready for that. And then you can start being that way instead of fighting so hard to be what other people expect or think you to be.
And I remember that from our first conversation of you saying, we're not all supposed to be the same, but we're taught that we're not the same. And every single one of us is unique, and that should be celebrated. And especially in the schooling system, because your background is in special education teaching and all of that. You've seen it. You've seen how we stuff these kids into this little box of sameness, and it really isn't effective. So, like for example, you said that Teal sends messages and that my system is open to them. Like my design says, yes, I can hear these things or feel them. And Teal's really good at sending them. So we're a nice match that way. It actually really was comforting to have you say that to me. I was like, okay, yes, I am not crazy. I do hear these messages. I do know these things from Teal. Or you said that she's an amplifier.
She's an amplifier in the emotions.
Right, of mine. Yeah, or of anyone's, but mine as well. And so, like, some of those little things helped me realize, like, why do I feel so intense emotion when I get frustrated with her? Or what, because when she's around, sometimes I get like really frustrated or really passionate or really loving or really sad or really happy. She's a really good amplifier of my own emotions. So, when it comes to reading a system or a body graph, what parts would you look at for like you're chuckling, you're like, oh my God. What parts would you look at when it comes to boundaries or behaving in a certain way within a system, like a school setting?
Yeah, that's the question everybody has, right? What's the answer to this? I want that answer. And with this, I wish there was just one answer. It's like, oh, you look right here, and then that tells you everything. But the way this thing works is it takes so many different aspects and like puts it together. So it's a huge big picture perspective you have to take of it. Like we can look and say, like, say Teal is a generator. She's very defined and she has two centers open, right? She's a 1-3 generator. So we can know from just hearing just that she needs to have a lot of research information. She wants to know all the details and information about the things she's into. And part of the discipline, I'm putting in air quotes because that word really hurts me. Like,
I know, me too. I know.
I actually Googled what it meant yesterday because I was like, what does discipline actually mean? It's like a way to get people to have obedience and control.
Well, the other thing though is having discipline within your own self,
Yeah.
and that's good, like being able to complete a task and having
Yeah.
discipline within your own self. So I actually Ellen Tad, we did a whole thing on her books on chakras and all of that. And one thing that she really opened my eyes to was a different way of looking at discipline and giving ourselves the freedom to say, I do want to be disciplined in certain parts of my life. It's how I complete tasks. It's how I get through the day. It's how I pay bills. It's how I learn things. It's how I read a book. Those things are good. And so I think sometimes, yeah, the disciplining.
Training discipline, not.
Yes.
control.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you're going to say a one and a three and a generator kind of immediately tells us some certain things that Teal needs lots of information. And the first thing that popped into my head, Katie, was, oh, hold on. One of the hardest things about her being nonverbal is she doesn't ask a lot of questions, right? She doesn't ask questions. She doesn't say, tell me more, or why is that happening? And so sometimes you forget, I forget, or I'm sure teachers or anyone forgets to do a lot more explaining to her because she's just not asking those questions verbally.
Yes. And she's always going to have, like, she has a defined head with all three gates lit up and two channels, right? So she has a lot of so much energy up there, and she just knows so much stuff. And she also has the 1762 gate channel, I mean, which is, to me, it's one where kids often get in trouble because they need details. They need the whole picture. So she's confused. She has doubts. She needs to know why. And when she needs the why, it's a different kind of why. It's not like, well, why are you making me do that? It's more like, oh, sure, I'll do it, but can you let me know the reason behind why I'm doing it? Like, what is the purpose? So she wants answers. She's so smart. She is just like, this brain is just so full of knowledge and wisdom, and she's here to share it for sure, but she wants more. And so when she's in one of those zones, she's her 1-3, the detail, getting all the information, and her third line is an experimenter. She has to try it out, explore it, touch it with her hands. You're in doubt until she's proven herself that it does work or it is true. So she needs time, and if she's stopped in the middle of it and she can't say, well, can I have 5 more minutes, or whatever, just let me finish this part I'm on, it's going to be so frustrating for her. And then she's going to stop, just let me finish.
Yeah, and that is true. And even if you think about like this one incident happened at recess, and she probably wasn't ready for recess to be done. I mean, truthfully, it's probably like, no, no, no. I wanted to finish what I was doing, or I want to complete this task. That's really good for me to remember. So, what would some other channels indicate in people? So, I mean, you could probably look at my chart and give some different channels being opened or whatever, and what that would indicate. Because I don't want this to just be about Teal. I want to make sure that,
Well, it's really
yeah,
helpful because other people are going through the same. That's kind of, in me, I feel like the best way to help explain it to people is when you're showing an actual example and talking
yeah,
about it. So it does help. It really does.
okay,
So in each center, they have the gates,
okay,
and the gates each have their own energy that they give off, and they each mean something. And they're different in each person because they have different lines, colors, and tones to each of those. So it can go really deep. So even if you and Teal both have like gate, whatever, it might be different the way it plays out in your life.
okay,
So but when two gates are connected from one center, and a center is similar to like a chakra center, like the area of energy. So like a head center to the throat, or I mean the ajna center. And that's what Teal has, the two that go right there. So the inspirations, her ideas, her thoughts, they're going to connect right to her mind. So she's going to figure things out. She's instantly going to get working on it, start to understand how to process them, get through the confusion and the doubt and the wondering and all of that, and come to these epiphanies and clarity on her thoughts. She'll want to get it out there, right? And that's kind of her process with it. But for you, I'm pretty sure you were the opposite. Yeah, you have an open head and an undefined ajna. So your head is no gates, no channels, nothing. So you're pulling in all the thoughts, ideas, inspirations from her, from you, from the collective, from the TV shows, from the car radio, from everywhere. Anybody you come into contact with, you're able to pick in those thoughts. So, and then your mind is opened with it as well, your ajna center. So you might get deep into that thought, trying to figure out what to do with everything. And that's a lot of pressure for you, but it's like not really your job to do it. So you only have one way to process that with your one gate, because you have gate 4.
okay.
So that's how you process all of that stuff that you're trying to figure out, even though it's not yours.
I process it through gate 4. So what would that mean? Like, how would I process then through gate 4?
That's actually in your sun also. Like that's your main energy. It's in your personality sun. So the goal of it is you're able to look at things and forgive them in the long run, understand them, you rationalize them, you think about them, you can Like when somebody does something to you, or an experiment didn't go wrong or right, or you're trying to figure out what to do with something somebody told you, like you'll come to this understanding where it won't really bug you in a way. The goal is it won't affect you, but you'll have this understanding in such a deep way. I'm trying to explain it to you for yourself. Yeah, you just figure it out. You figure out how to process it through your way, through your imagination, through your intuition, through your process, your unique process.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to an innocent answer that is full of forgiveness, basically. Like the formalization comes to forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
But kind of a bad example. I wish I should have.
So like if that were the case, then when it would come to having me follow rules or having me be in school, let's say as a kid, it was very interesting because I wanted to talk to everybody, which kind of
Yeah.
makes sense, right? They would always say like, Jen talks all the time. She talks too much. Everyone's laughing. They're like, yep, she has a podcast, for crying out loud. But I always got in trouble at school for talking so much. And I'm sure I was probably getting people's information. Like, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yes, that would totally make sense with that. Yeah. And it does actually, now that you just said that, it does kind of go back around to that. So school then, for Teal's process and your process, way different, right? So you can innocently forgive the teacher for making you stop something a lot faster than Teal did. So you're just like, okay, I get it. It's time to go. It's whatever. Teal's so fixed in her energy. She's not going to move as easy as you. And so for her, it's like, I gotta finish this part here. You forget, you process it by you thinking about it. You went through the checklist, like, yeah, if I do this, this will happen. If I do this, then I might have to do this. It's a punishment or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the right choice and stop. You processed it and then it's over. So it was formalized that way. So yeah, I guess that was a good example.
Yeah. See, good job.
Work out. But yours isn't a channel though. That's the other part too. So yours is just there and hers is going to be very fixed. And so you were asking the question about a channel though. So that kind of didn't connect all the way, but it did in Teal's, but not yours, I guess.
You completely answered my question. I was not using the correct terms. Let's just be honest. All right. So what I'm really hearing you say is we really do want to look at overall behaviors of a child and help structure discipline around them. Now, I think that should be a given, right? I mean, isn't that a given that teachers are doing that? It might not be the case, but I love it. She just grabbed her rose quartz crystal. She's like, love, I need to remember to be loving. Here, I'll grab mine too. I'll hold my rose quartz. It's so funny. Actually, I should get all of the teachers rose quartz crystals because it would just help their heart open.
I promise. The teachers are usually great. And it's not even the principals or anything. It's the stinking rules that people make. You're expected to do all this stuff and you have all these guidelines and you put all these kids in the same box and they're so different. Like even if say Teal was there with another non-verbalish person, they're going to be so different. Like Teal has all this energy, so much energy. And she could be next to like a projector with a lot of open centers and the opposite of her. And that kid could be like beating the crap out of everybody because that kid could be pulling in and amplifying all the energy around them that they're not used to. And they can't speak that. And it's like something going on inside of your body, just like almost vibrating and punching and wanting to get out. And trapped and they don't know what to do. So those kids are going to act out and hit in the opposite reason as Teal, like a total different reason than Teal, I guess, not opposite, but.
Right. Well, and then you have to look at, okay, so what do we feed these kids, not food, energy wise? What do we feed them with words? What do we feed them with experiences to support those instances, right? So would there be something where if you realize like a kid is somewhat like Teal, saying, okay, we've got 5 minutes left and we are going to transition in 5 minutes, not just, okay, the bell rang, let's go.
Yes.
Okay.
That stuff is perfect. Cards for Teal, apparently. She's tactile, very touch. Touch is super important to her. So maybe if the teacher's talking to her, she walks over when she says it and like puts her hand on her shoulder and says, Teal, honey, we got 5 more minutes and then we have to clean up. So try to finish up the one you're on. So, just giving the warning and then like have a dinger, like 2 minutes left for the whole class. So it's, not even just her. That would help everybody, I guess, too. And her to respond yes or no. So she doesn't need to speak a lot because Teal is a generator. So asking her yes or no questions is perfect. So giving her like yes, no, she can respond by shaking her head, putting her finger up, whatever,
Mhm.
or touch, using sign language, doing anything. So having a list of questions that the teachers can ask her if it's hard for them to come up. I know some teachers have a lot of pressure and it's hard to do like things on the fly, but getting it ready, have a list of checklist questions we can ask Teal that she'll know how to respond to easily. Like even starting out the day, going over her schedule and showing her how long each time is. And for her, like, is she really good, Teal, good with time? Does she understand time pretty well?
Yeah, I think she does. They're learning time in school. And
Yeah.
so, telling time is different than understanding the
Yeah.
concept of
Oh,
time.
definitely. Yeah.
And I think I mean, she understands most everything I talk about. I'm not sure if she would understand an hour versus 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But 5 minutes, I think she would know, okay, that's pretty soon.
So maybe you can say like, does she watch like the Bluey cartoon or anything that kids watch?
She
Like,
does, yes.
so maybe you can say this will take about as long as a Bluey episode. Like give her something to compare it to so she can really deeply understand what is that. I don't that and those are the kind of details she's going to want. And I feel her because I had the same gates as some of the same gates as her and I was always in trouble. I was always shut down for asking questions and I literally was not arguing. I just want some more details. I like hearing what you're saying. So it's in a good way. You want this information. So feed me. But it's like a pressure to the person who you're asking because they almost feel like you're doubting them or
Hmm.
you're going against what they're saying when you're actually like, hey, give me some.
Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
So
Interesting.
feeding her and giving her as much knowledge as you can, especially if she's into it, and really
Okay.
paying attention. Whatever the things she loves, like what do you notice at home that she really loves, as much as you can incorporate that into her school. Like if we love crystals, give her crystals for counters. Like bring in some of those little tumbled crystals in her counters or crystals, and they'll be helping her as she's playing with them, right? Like
Oh,
and
interesting.
tell stories about them for reading, find books based on that topic because she'll want it. It'll help. And it's still, I know it's a little more work for some of the teachers, but if they want it easier for her, that's all it takes. And that's
Right. Yeah. She has been that's so funny that you said that. She's been very into my crystals lately. Like all the crystals, or there's a bunch of crystals out, and she's been grabbing the rose quartz and carrying it around with her. So she's so dang cute. Yeah. And yeah, so that's a good thing to remember. And for every child. So let's say you have an autistic child. I know you were doing a little bit of research, and I know you said there's so many different things and there's not huge commonalities, but is there anything that you could see consistently for a child like that when it came to schooling and boundaries?
as far as their charge or as far as like tools.
Both. I mean, you have so much experience, so I know it's not going to be just human design based, right? I mean, just the fact that you said
Yeah.
get her a bag of counting crystals is like awesome. Like I can do that. I would be curious, like from both perspectives, like a human design perspective, but then I'll just also just your experience.
So from what I've seen most, and this is just from my experience, and I probably had 25 people that I compared to, and they were all ages. The only thing that was kind of common that I would say is their openness. So less definition would it because and that's because it's they don't really understand what that energy is all the time because it's very inconsistent. So we have 9 centers. I guess that might help explain stuff. 9 center, our head, our ajna is our mind. I said those two. Then our throat is our manifestation center, how we make things happen, our voice and how we communicate. Then we have our identity, and that's who we are in the world. That's like our truth, our expression, how we be. And then we have the will center, and that's kind of your drive, your force, your heart. What are you going to push for, right? Then the solar plexus is your emotional solar plexus, how we feel our feelings and things. Then we have the sacral, and that's our life force energy. The spleen is our instincts and intuition, and our root center is our like adrenals and our impulses and our let's get going type, that kind of energy. So each of those are different. And if a kid is really open in those areas, like let's just say the bottom four, so the root, the emotions, the sacral, and the spleen are all undefined or open, but just a person who doesn't have the definition down at the bottom. And they're in school. They're going to feel like, say the teacher has a deadline or an IEP meeting today that she's not ready for, or he's not ready for. That pressure that the teacher's feeling, this little kid next to that teacher is going to feel that pressure and then amplify it. So take what you're feeling and then feel it like 3 to 10 times worse. And that's how they feel it. They don't know why they're feeling that. And then all the other kids around them, they're super excited for the birthday party. And then they're like in their adrenals. And this kid still doesn't know what's going on with that, right? So he has all that. And then we have an emotions. Your emotions are open in this kid too. So half the world has undefined emotion center and half is defined. So especially around the defined emotions, they have them going all the time, right? So then this kid who does not have a defined emotional center is going to pull in and amplify those crazy emotions. And you have yours defined and Teal does not. So like I have mine defined too. So that means like we feel 24/7, like you have emotions running through and it's just like, and you can either embrace it or hide it. And I say you can turn your switch off.
Mm-hmm.
But this kid, he or she might not be used to having that. And he's feeling all these crazy emotions that us emotional people are going through throughout the day. Confusion, like, what is this? And then, I mean, I can keep going, but he doesn't have this poor little child in school doesn't understand why they're feeling that way because we've never explained to them or taught them. We've never taught people how to feel in their body very much. Like for me, when I was a teacher, I used to start the day with, it took about 40 minutes and we just check in. Everybody started checking in with breathing. We took a couple of breaths just to regulate our bodies and get calm and ready. And then we each got to say something if there was anything bugging us or on our mind that we needed to just get off our chest so we didn't have to keep thinking about it. Get rid of the thoughts that were going on. And then we would do a movement. So could be a yoga pose or a stretch, something. We just do a movement every day. Mm-hmm. And then we did an emotion and we explained how they work and did examples of what they felt like and how they're used in real life situations. And then they'd understand it deeper. They'd be like, oh, that, it was just like so much clarity because it was connected to real world. And it helped them understand, like, when, say, the counselors in class telling them about these things, they're like, yeah, it's really cool. But giving them something they can touch, relate to, like in their own personal life and sharing that helps build it in deeper too. But then they'd get through that. And then we'd do a breathing exercise or like a calming regulation, kind of show them different ways you can do breathing or tapping. We did tappings, just whatever. We would teach them those self-regulation and coping mechanisms. And then the other thing, we'd show them how to look with love. And that was kind of my key term. However you look at things, anytime you can look with love, it like takes the burden and the pressure off it because you're not judging or comparing or expecting or all that. So that was like their favorite thing to do. And they actually loved it. And they were so family oriented in that class too. Like they protected each other. They were so compassionate and caring and understanding. It was awesome. But yeah, I would recommend that for sure. Something like that for a classroom.
Right. I mean, there's so many little things that you could pull out of there even if you just wanted to do 2 or 3 for 10 minutes. I mean, I was thinking about giving Teal a physical way to manage emotion. Like you said, tapping. Is there something that we could encourage her and her aide to do when she starts feeling that energy go up? I know she works on deep breathing. She's gotten much better at taking breaths and processing because she is such a tactile, physical person.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what popped into your mind when I said that. Is there some sort of tapping or?
Tapping is awesome. Anger, frustration, tapping like right here under your thumb is a really good spot for that one. Okay. You said breathing, but I can't express enough teaching the breathing. And making sure, like showing the actual breathing with them, putting your hand on her belly and say, feel the belly. Now feel it go up to your chest. Can you feel the air growing in your chest and in your belly? So they actually know where the air is supposed to go. Because most of us weren't taught to breathe that deeply.
Right.
Like, breathe in. And it's
breathe
like
shallow.
Almost like suck in and lift our chest up to breathe instead of like breathe in. But touching for her, giving her a tool, maybe a crystal, if that's what she's into right now. Tactile things are really good. A calming crystal if she needs a break or something, or she needed to go think. If her head, like certain ones, you can get her like a soda light. If it's a focus thing, anything, turning any activity into a game, even the cleanup thing, transitioning, if it's time to end something, trying to find a way to let her do a touch thing with it each time. Like she'll come over, put it away and blow a bubble and then go back, anything, or maybe not blow a bubble, hug the teddy bear. I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally depend on the kids. Like I'm making it sound easy because I have a defined head and aginatus, and I'm pretty quick at picking up ideas and thoughts and stuff and coming up with ways to maneuver. Most people, 70% of us don't have it. So it's not as easy to get into that. So don't try to think that if you can't think of answers as fast as I'm just throwing them out there, it's hard. It's not that easy. Like, so researching and finding ways, talking to families and parents about what they're into and really getting to know the kid at a personal level. If they could have teacher and kid play dates every week before school or something, so they get to really meet the kid instead of see them in the school and under the fake pressure that they're supposed to be sitting and acting like this person sitting in a box.
Right.
It's not really who these kids are.
Yeah. Well, you wrote a really lovely email to me that I somewhat referenced in our initial conversation here, but I wanted to go into something that you wrote about how when we all feel more connected, we all understand more. The more we understand ourselves, the more we understand other people, and the more we're able to function together. Would you comment on some of that just overall concept?
Oh, yes, that's absolutely what I think the secret to the whole life world is. I said before, look with love, but that's kind of the same way you look at everything with that way. Look at yourself, look at your family, look at your friends, look at the people you don't even know. And like, first of all, I feel like you get to know yourself first. You have to understand yourself at the core of who you are and what you need and what you want in life before anybody can give that to you, because you have all these expectations. Give me this, I want this, but what do you want? If you don't know that, if you don't have that figured out, then you can't really get it, right? Mm-hmm. But what you're really longing for is inner knowing, like, who am I? What do I really need and want? And when you can figure that out, it's like all you really need is the basics after that. It's like the things we thought we were searching for, they kind of just float to the wayside and it's not a thing. And when you can do that, you can then start to look at other people. You can look at your kids or your husband or whatever. And when they're doing something that's just irking the crap out of you, you're just like, why are you doing this? And you want to scream, pull your hair out, and you're just
like, never, yeah.
Oh.
That's never happened to me. No.
Oh, yeah. I never had to do something like that. But seriously, after you see that and you understand that, oh, we are so freaking different. We're not even close to the same, but I still love that person with all my heart. And embracing and welcoming them in as who they really are, and looking at it as, okay, that's just their thing. Why is it bugging me so bad? So if something's bugging you so bad, I have found that oftentimes we need to look into that. And that's something that we need to work on in ourselves. It just literally feels like you're carrying all these heavy things on your shoulder. And then once you look at the picture differently, you see it from their perspective. It's, oh, these things are just bamboo. They're not that heavy. The pressure's gone. Giving up that need for proving ourselves and controlling others. I guess.
Yeah. That is actually what I was absolutely thinking. You took the words right out of me, is when you begin to understand yourself and you look more compassionately to others, you then are able to live in a world that is less controlling. It's more forgiving. It's easier for you to simply say, okay, that's just who you are. And I don't have to take this personally. It's just who you are. And this is who I am. I mean, I've had to work on that a lot in my life, is, hey, this is who I am. Take it or leave it, peeps.
That we are all human and we are making mistakes and we will make mistakes. And that's part of life and that's part of our growth process. And just being okay and giving people and ourselves grace for that.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the schooling concept is reminding the teachers and everyone today during the meeting is to look with love, like you said, is to say, okay, let's give Teal the benefit of the doubt here. Let's not assume that she's trying to be nasty. Let's assume that this is an expression of emotion. Let's assume that this is some frustration, and how can we better understand that frustration? And what I'm hearing you say is specifically for Teal, and I would imagine there's quite a few kids that if you help them understand more information, they will be more satisfied. If you give them more basis for decision making, they will be more satisfied and more content, not more controllable, right? Just more content. And so more open to learning.
Yeah, and I'm looking at her chart as well again more too, and I would really recommend adding in more about the time for her because she's also, I'm looking at her sacral down here. She has the finisher, the gate to finish things. She wants to bring things to completion. It's like, what is it in? It's in her, oh, she has it on both sides. If she can't finish things, then it's going to be a lot of pressure and it's going to frustrate her so bad. And I get it. You have to stop at times. I'm not saying that's, just let her have her way, but showing her, hey, we're going to carve time in this later. So you get to finish it, and just letting her feel safe that it's okay. She will finish it, just not right this minute. And then
Okay.
she also has the 9 and the gate 9, and it's like focus, 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 focus. And she has all the focus for whatever it is she's in tune to at the time. And that's also really a conundrum for her in a way because she's right brained. So she's super receptive instead of a focused learner. So when she's learning, she's not going to focus. She's not going to sit and stare at the teacher and take notes or do anything like that. She's probably going to like play with her crystal and like look at the sky while the teacher's talking, but she's receiving the information. She's pulling it in. And then that's why it's a conundrum, because she has the focus to pay attention to all these details when she's into something and her sacral's lit up for it. And then it's kind of clashing at her because I'm doing good. I'm doing what you're telling me to, but you're making me stop.
Mm-hmm.
Also confusing.
Okay. That's a really good one. I loved that you told me that in the last conversation that we had, because where you mentioned to me she may not pay attention with her eyes when she's learning. And that was hugely beneficial. And I told the teachers that, and I was really good about communicating that. I need to make sure I remember to communicate that again. But at the same time, she has gotten significantly better at putting kind of some blinders on and saying, okay, this is what's going on. But I'm wondering if we could even enhance her focusing abilities by giving her more definition, giving her more guidelines. I don't know, giving her more
Choices.
rules. I know that sounds weird, but like rules about, okay, you get to choose these two things, then you get to do this, then you're going to make that decision, so it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing. I'm wondering if we need to have, and I know most parents are going to be like, you don't have this, but like a schedule for the morning, okay, these are the things that we get to accomplish before we go to school.
Yeah, that's a good idea. She has the gate, the whole channel, I mean, 5:15. So she's going to want her personal unique rhythm and routine. It's going to be her way though. So it might not be what you think. And
Mm-hmm.
it more than likely won't, because she's defined head and she's right brained. It's so the opposite. But touch anything she can touch, like if it's a sticker chart or something, let her put the sticker on, let her type a sticker and put it on there, or let her maybe make the chart. Anything touch for her, it'll mean more. And going back to that touch, telling your teacher too. I mean, I don't mean to say telling, but showing.
Suggesting.
Yeah, if you really want her to hear you, just literally go put your hand on her shoulder and send love to her, like, here, this is important, I want you to get this. And because that's her communication, like her main her strongest sense, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely add touch as much as you can.
I'll share this story with you today. I was trying to get her clothes on, and we were getting ready for school, and we had to brush teeth and comb hair and all of those things that you do. And all she wanted was to put her ear on my heart. That's all she wanted. She just
Yes.
held me there. Like, I
Yes.
mean, it was a 5-minute hug. She
Yeah.
just desperately wanted that loving energy touch from me.
Yeah.
Alex walked in and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And I'm like, she just needs this right now. And we just sat there, and I sat there, and instead of going through in my head all these things that I needed to do, because I know she hears these things from me, I know she feels when I'm going through like, I just was like, nope, I'm going to be present.
Mhm.
I'm going to breathe in. I'm going to let her hear my heart. And it was a beautiful moment. And I do try to do that more with her because I really feel like she needs it. And I just encourage every parent that's listening, kind of like what you're saying, Katie, is find the thing that your child really needs. You're articulating it from a school perspective, and I'm articulating it from a parent perspective of, my daughter needs that loving touch.
She probably needs it at school too, if it's that important to her. I mean, not the same way as you, obviously, but
Well, no, but there's some similarities. Absolutely.
one more thing I wanted to remember for Teal,
Yeah.
for getting her to do things, like her energy wise to do it. The secret is filling her sacral. So every time she does something she really doesn't like to do, go refuel her energy with something she loves doing. So generator types are really like filling your car up with gas. You use all your energy because we have to do some of the things we're not into. And so let's give us some gas. So give her the fuel she needs for a little while to gas her back up so she can go do more. I wouldn't recommend like shoving all her boring things in a row or whatever, and just make sure she has time to go and release. Also, breaks or whatever.
Thinking like, I know she does back to back therapy sessions sometimes. That would not be good.
Well,
She,
does
she
she like them? Are they fun things that she enjoys, or are they like work and she's afterwards?
I will have to ask,
Yeah.
because when it comes to her scheduling, that is really important.
Yeah. And ask her how she feels. Remember, yes or no questions are the best for generator types. So, did you enjoy going to class? Did you get too tired, or were you energy? Like, I mean, not or were you full of energy? Anything yes or no questions for her, and showing her, yeah, and be like, okay, well, since you said yes, do you think it's a good idea to do this time or next time instead? Or do you want to keep going this way? Because that's not
Right. Yeah. Just consistent yes, no questions.
yeah, if it's a no, then be like, okay, would we do this then? Showing her that she has the power to choose for herself. I'm not saying everything. I'm not saying just let her run the world. Showing her how she does it. Like where do you get your answer from? Did you feel your belly light up and go woo when you made that choice, or did your belly kind of pull you back? To even watch her if she's standing, like if you ask her something, if she'll kind of lean forward, that's yeah. Backwards are usually no. And her again, the sound, letting her just be like, like, that's a yes. That's no, you listen to those generator sounds. Those are sacral sounds that come directly from her. That's her truth.
Okay.
So if she walks by a person in school and goes, that's the person you better watch out for. If she's walks by somebody and she's like, hey, she probably loves that person. So listening to those and
That's
taking.
such good. I mean, regardless of it being teal or not, I mean, making sure that everybody is doing that, because every child, whether they're verbalish or not, is giving you feedback. And
Yeah.
the more we can slow down and pay attention and just listen with our heart and listen and look with love, we will be better parents and teachers and human beings in general.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for spending time with me and helping me better understand how to work with the teachers and how to work with her design. And hopefully this will spark other people to say, I'd like to learn a little bit more about human design. So I think it would be a very tangible way of me engaging with teachers or therapists or whatever to be better for my child.
It's something that will make their life so much easier and smoother, the flow. The more we can allow people to be in, it's like teaching something they're naturally good at instead of teaching somebody something they hate or they're not supposed to be. Anybody in school, if we're going to keep forcing them to fit in that box, they're going to be in the same boat as most adults are right now. They're in that funk. This is not the purpose of life. There's more to it. I know there is. I want to feel good. I'm so sore and achy and I can't sleep. And the more you can be in your own truth and your flow, the more flow your body feels. So the better you feel, you just feel better in general.
And you can feel it from you. I know you're in the flow. You have good energy. You've got really good emotion. You've got good flow. So I can tell that you're living what you're preaching. Thank you so much. How can people find you, Katie? Because I know you're working on a website, and then but Facebook is probably the best way for people to find you. I can make sure that I put it in the show notes. Do you have it off the top of your head by any chance?
And it's the remedy aligned by design.
Okay, The Remedy
Yes.
Aligned by Design. Okay. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you spending time with us, and I can't wait to go talk to the teachers.
Yay. Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.